So in the last video, I walked you through the first part of my sales process flow, like sales process and checkout flow for my upcoming Systematic U System Start Tana Edition V1 event that I'm hosting on December 28th. And I got all the way from the sales page all the way through almost onboarding to Discord. So let me go ahead and add another card stack. If you're just watching this particular video today, highly suggest you check out the first video. I'll link to it below this video so you can see what this is all about, why I'm doing it, some of the choices I made behind the tools that I'm using. So the first card here is going to be Discord, I think. It's sort of like customer is added to my Systematic U Discord server and assigned the System Start Tana Edition V1 role. No, I'm really new to Discord, so you're going to hear me talking about this quite a bit. I've used it in different programs and so forth I've been in, but not as much as other tools. So I am challenging myself to learn all the things because I remember when I first started using Discord a while ago, one of the things I didn't like about it was it just seemed really confusing. There was a lot of bots going on, like the bots, and I thought a good way because the bots seemed to be doing things, but it's just super active. So my goal, and we'll see if I manage to do this, is to put together a space that is simple to use, is engaging, and people get excited to talk to each other there. So that's what I'm trying to do. And the reason I say I think here is because I think the flow, the way it's going to work, and I'm working with a Discord coach. She has been fabulous, Keely Dunn. And we're going to be meeting and talking about this later today. So I'm definitely going to ask her, is the flow they're added to Discord and then they get the role? So they're in the general area, I think, and they also get this role. I don't know yet. So I haven't really wrapped my head around that yet. But anyway, the flow is going to definitely go, at least from an automations perspective, that Integrately is then going to do this action. And I'm separating these two cards simply because I want them to be delineated between the fact that this is kind of like that onboarding flow. And now they're in Discord. And I want things to happen because there's going to be onboarding things that happen when they come into Discord. I think I'm going to be using an onboarding bot or an onboarding flow. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so we've got Discord. So like the Thrivecart pages and those sorts of things. Let's take a look at those first. I said in the other video that I was going to tell you why I liked Whimsical so much, in addition to, you can make these nice cards because you can open up the cards. So sales page, Thrivecart checkout. Now, because of the dimensions of my screen, it doesn't really look so hot to do it this way, but what you can do, I'm using Arc browser, is you can use a split view. And I could add, for example, the fact that I want to look at Thrivecart here. So I could look at it side by side. Actually, the view isn't terrible there. Maybe I'll keep it there for a little bit. Okay. So this is the checkout that I'm working on. And I'm going to just go back to I want to change my project type and actually mess up everything I've done. So I'm still learning Arc a little bit, but let me separate this tab from the split so we have it full screen. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my products. You can see this is super empty Thrivecart. I have not used it before, really. I made my System Start Tana Edition. So I'm going to go into my statistics about it, or my editing screen. And you can see that I have a name. I'm calling it V1, and here's why. My idea is to have more than one of these events over time, and I want to be able to distinguish the different types of events that I have. You'll see that it's also in live mode because I haven't given anyone really the URL yet to test it or try it, except for myself. So that's why it's live. Also, because when I do automations, I need to have real test data. Sometimes you can use fake data, but I find more times than not, you have to have an actual purchase. So of course I'm doing the thing where I buy from my own self and get that data to come in that way. So it's in live mode. It's in English. If you just click the next button, you can see I'm setting this at a $99 payment. And there's different ways you can do pricing. One of the things that's kind of cool is that you can choose to do what they call, I call it bump pricing. So pay your own price. And then someone could say, like, you could put a base and then you pay above that. You could also choose to have a subscription or a split pay. I think a split pay is like be pay in different payments. And I don't have any need for the other things. I can also limit the number of seats that I sell. I'm not going to do that just because I don't know what I anticipated off for the sale, but I'm not going to limit it because I don't know why limit it. It just feels better not to. I'd rather have the problem of so many people, I have to do like a new platform, then try to say, I'm going to arbitrarily limit this to like 50 people. That's kind of a thought I've always kind of struggled with a little bit when it comes from the things I've been learning about marketing in my current role is that oftentimes, it said you should have X number of seats so you can say you sold out. Well, I get it, but I don't have a number in mind. So you're hearing, all the behind the scenes today. I don't have a number in mind. I have no idea what sellout would be. And if I got more people to enroll than I could put on Discord or I have to go to Zoom or something else, well, thank you. I love that I have that problem to solve. So that's how I'm going to think about that. Calculate sales tax. I'm actually not turning that on yet. And this is because I have to truthfully learn some things about this. It's been a long time since I've done things with my LLC. So I need to figure out and talk to my accountant and see what the best thing is to do for that. For now, though, I do know it is important to collect things like state and country when you do the checkout. So that way, if I have to do the state based tax, I'll have the data to do that. So I do know that. So I'm going to leave this off for now. Do you want to customize your customer's payment notification? Think I did do that. Yeah. So I chose a detailed notification. You'll see the settings I've set up for this. So I uploaded a little graphic, which I made in Canva. I did have a artist on Fiverr make me a logo. That's actually a draft of it. She's not done yet, which is perfectly fine. So I'm just going to use this as a mock-up. I don't know if you've ever had that situation before where you're like, I can't start this thing until I have my logo and this and that. I wanted a few things, but I'm not going to have it make me stop or pause just because it's not perfect yet. Okay. If I don't have the perfect logo, I could just pick a font. I don't need to have a logo. So that's my perspective on this. What you see on the left is what the customer receives in the email. What you see on the right is the information that's here, like that I can add up here. So I put a little note from me. I love that they can download a PDF, which I think is really cool. I am really hoping this suffices for an invoice. To me, this looks enough like an invoice. I'm not going to offer a customized invoice, like something beyond this, because I just know that I had a pretty detailed process I had to go through in higher ed when we had to submit an invoice. And it had to be, what did I buy? Who did I buy it from? Did it look legit? It was my name on it. And how much was it? The only thing I see that's not on here that maybe someone might need, and I would deal with it on an as needed basis or as requested basis, is how did you pay? Like if I needed to show the credit card or something, I could see that being a thing. But for now, I'm not going to do that. So this is what this looks like. I have to still figure out where the settings are to change this contact support because I don't even know actually where that goes. So I'll have to work on that. And I'm good with that. And I didn't make any changes, so I'm not going to save it. It's going to hit can. Then the next part of this process, did I want to do a bump offer? Why not? Sure, I'll give it a try. So I'm excited because I decided I'm going to offer constructive consultations. I've had so much fun leaving this stuff. By the way, I always love feedback. So if you're like, that's tacky or you don't like it, please share it. And constructive consultations are going to be 60-minute sessions where people can talk about anything they want to talk about related to personal knowledge management. I'm still thinking about some things that I'm going to put as kind of descriptions about what that means, because I think it'd be helpful for people to know. For example, I consider myself extremely well versed in Tana, the personal knowledge management app that I'm doing this event for, Notion, and ClickUp. I have experience in Obsidian, so I wouldn't consider myself the best to talk to you about that. I know a heck of a lot about Airtable after the last couple of years. One of the things I'm really great at is helping people find how to figure out how to do things if they're not sure. Because like I said, except for people who helped me, which I'm super grateful for, extremely self-taught in a lot of this stuff. So I'm adding this consultation service to it. I decided to do $149, and should bump be selected by default? I think that means we'll see in a moment on the checkout page. Is it like already toggled on? Well, I'm not going to toggle it on. That feels kind of tacky. I want people to choose if they want to talk to me or not. So that's going to be something they add. And then if you look at the next thing, I'm using Stripe. And then the next thing we have is I'm not doing affiliates yet. Maybe sometime I'll do affiliates. And you can see I've got my support email address set up. And in terms of what happens after their purchase, this is kind of neat. Display their total, which I am doing, send them to a URL. Now, I might change this, actually. I'm back and forth. You have to let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Whether I should just display their total and invoice, I'm leaning towards that, send them to the URL. And if you're wondering where would I send them, I would send them to my form, so my fill out form. Instead of doing my Airtable automation, But the thing is I think sometimes when people buy, they don't necessarily have time to fill out a form. But since the only thing I'm asking is their first, last, an email address they want to use in Discord, and probably something along the lines of any questions for me before we get started, and what are you most excited to learn about in Tana? I think those are the two questions I'd ask on top of their identifying information. So actually, I'm just going to make the decision now. I'm going to send them there because that seems like it would make it a lot easier. But of course, I don't know what that URL is yet. So I might have to come back to this. URL expiration. That's interesting. Probably never, actually, because I just want them to fill that form out. Success URL for bump offer. If they receive the bump offer, they get 2 links on their success page. Oh, that's cool. So I could send them to my booking calendar. So I'm really hoping that they let me save this now, even though I don't have the URLs. They do not. So for now, I'm going to just leave it on display the total and then save that. You'll notice in a moment that once this loads, I am going to blur this out. And I have to blur this out because, it's not ready to go live yet. So, but ultimately, I think I'm going to have it redirect to the form. I think that's the way to go. So now that I have this finished, if I go back to my editor, and you'll notice I'm hesitating because I just haven't done this too much yet. If I go to edit, and somewhere in here was the design. So the checkout page. So I already have this going. And in the next video, you're going to see some of the decisions I've made for the sales page.